Okay, I'm continuing on to part 2 of this video. I'm going to make a correction. Last video I said the texture size was megabytes. It's actually in kilobytes. If it was a 256 megabyte texture, we'd be in trouble, so we want to avoid that. The texture sizes we do want to use are 256, 512, 1024, and 2048 if it's huge. But for the most part, for small stuff and a majority of the textures we're going to be using are 256 and 512. We'll optimize the performance of it later on depending on what we can get away with. So I'm going to move on to prepare this building here, and there's one more thing I want to show you about smoothing this geometry. These have some hard edges on it right now. You can see right here if we render it out, you can see some hard edges here. We don't want that. We want to kind of smooth it out a little bit. So I'm just going to go to polygon mode. I'm going to collapse the stack. We're already unwrapped. Collapse to yes. I want to leave it as editable poly with the unwrapped preserved. And I'm going to just Control A, select all of it in max. It'll be different depending on your 3D package. And we want to go to the edit geometry or polygon, not material IDs, polygon smoothing groups, and just hit auto smooth. You can crank this up to 180. Clear it real quick. Click that one, go to auto smooth, crank it up to 180, and let's render it out a little bit. So you see it's a lot more smoother. All these smaller edges will be insignificant in the game, but right now we have those hard edges removed. So we want to do that to all of them. And let me check the pivot point on this one too. Top, center to object, and left. It looks like this one's set up. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. So I'll finish this building up and I'll show you the import. Okay, continuing on here, I have the building set up so far with the appropriate names of the geometry, and the pivot points are all set up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to adjust the material names so we can associate the right materials with the right pieces of geometry. So right now if we go into the default in max, if we go to the default view, this one says 1001 default, and we don't want that. We want to actually name this texture the name of the texture. So right now, even you can see my naming convention is off right now. It says desertstone.psd. So we're going to correct that right now, and we're going to go to where this file name is at, and actually correct the name of the texture, and reapply it up here. So I'm going to go to my process textures directory. Actually, it's already opened, and I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to put it in my process textures directory, and I'm going to call it texture T underscore desert stone underscore, and we're going to see what the size of this texture map is. I believe it's 1024. I'm going to check again though. And we're going to save this as a PNG. Save. And we want to interlace it. I'm just going to verify the size of it. Mode, image. Image size. And we're at 1024. And it's very important that we have 1024 squared or 512 or 256 squared. All of our buildings should have that, just so they can process, it can compress them and stuff. So now I'm going to actually apply this texture inside of the process textures directory that I have. It should be in here. It's in another directory. I'm going to pause the video again because it's in another directory. Okay, so here's the texture. It's in that directory that I have here, and it's called T underscore desert stone underscore 1024.png. PNG is going to be the smallest file size we can use. So I'm going to apply that here with the bitmap, and it shouldn't really change the geometry, obviously, or the look. So I'm going to go here, and go to that directory. Star.png. Star.png. It's a PNG file. See, okay, that's it. That's the one we're going to put. Not sure why this isn't opening. Okay, so I applied the texture. The reason why it was not selecting the PNG was I had the file type down here set as something else, like RPF or whatever, and it won't open that way. So you just have to go to the PNG down here. Even though you click it and select it, and you can see it. Kind of silly, but so you just select it up here, boom. And now we want to actually name this the name of the material. And we want to name the one above it too. The reason why is if we have different material channels, we can actually see which name of the material goes in each channel for different material IDs and stuff. So we're going to do our other one too. We'll check the naming convention on this. Again, 03 default. We need to go back and do this one too. So let's go ahead and open that one up. So this one's called Desert Stone Window. And I'm going to open up in Photoshop and rename it. File might be in a different location also. Okay, again I needed to find the file. We have so many project files, it's hard to keep track of them. So this is the directory it's going to be in. And I want to open it up in Photoshop, and I'm going to check the size of it. Because it was going to be a window, it's probably not going to be a 512 or 1024 texture map. So I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, or Image and Image Size. This one's 1024. We want to scale this down definitely to 512 because it's not that big of an asset. Probably no smaller than 512 because we could also use it as a doorway. And we want to save this file as a PNG. Texture capital T underscore Desert Stone Window underscore 512, and we're going to put that in the process textures directory for now in our own temporary directory. This is still a working directory. I'll tell you the specific directory once we open up the Unity project for when we copy these. And we also want to name the map. Okay, so we have the texture name okay, we have the texture named up here okay on the diffuse color. And this model should be ready to export into Unity now. So let's go ahead and go to Unity. Before we go to Unity, like I said, we want to copy the textures first. This is really important, just so it knows you don't have to reapply the textures, because we'll also reapply a material to the model in a second here in Unity. Okay, so we're going to go to our scene. We're just going to get this stuff out of the way. We don't really need any of this, so I'm going to make this look a lot simpler. We also are going to end up with a prefab, actually, and the prefab is going to be set up. So we're also going to be using this directory too. This is the last thing we're going to have. We're going to set this up also, the prefabs, and this is our key thing that's going to help us build fast. So we want to copy our textures. The fastest way of copying the textures is not really going to the textures directory and going to import. If you have one texture to import, that's okay, but we're going to just copy these directories into the Unity file folder directory that where our project is at. If you created a new project, this hierarchy in the project directory is the exact same structure as it is in the file window explorer, or the Windows Explorer, or the directory. So in this case, we are in Armored Tank Assault 5.11.11, and we have the assets directory here, and these assets are in the same exact directory as this project. So if we go to assets here, it's the exact same as the Unity project directory. So this is brilliant because you could just drag and drop the textures if you have multiples in here, and then after you open up Unity, it'll process them. So as you see, we have the same exact stuff in here as here. So all we're going to do is we're just emulating the directory structure. And now we're going to take our two textures that we have and put them in here first. So I'm going to go to I'm going to open up another Explorer window. I'll just go to my computer. I'm going to go to my texture directory where my process textures are at. And we already have the two memorized, so we're just going to go to the latest. We already have the two ready to go, so I'm going to sort it by date. Oops. And so I'm just going to take these two here, and these are our two newest ones. These are the ones we wanted, Desert Stone Window and Desert Stone. And we're just going to drag and drop them into the textures directory, not the materials directory. That's going to be different. Materials is for Unity. Textures is for Unity also, but these when we apply this is for like normal map, diffusing, transparencies and stuff, just so Unity knows how to process the textures. And this is just our raw texture directories to keep track of the textures by themselves. So we just take these and drag and drop them in here. Boom. And then as soon as we open up Unity, it's going to bring up our rainbow wheel if you're on a Mac, or it's going to bring up this spinning thing on the thing and just start processing the textures. So it'll say importing assets, and now when we go to our textures directory, look, boom, that are in here. Texture Desert Stone Window and texture Desert Stone 1024. So now we know Unity has these. Now we could actually import our model. And the way we can import our model is we're just going to export this model directly into Unity. It looks like I actually copied the textures, or moved them actually, so I'm going to actually just put them back in there real quick. Hold on, let me pause that. I want to keep those, copy those directories, or those folders, files I mean.